Hey y'all, my name is Babbles, and welcome back to my Autism Awareness Month, Autism Acceptance Month series. In the last video, I built a facade representative of my autistic masking, and today I'm going to talk about sensitivities, because I have quite a few. So let's get started. Okay, so first I'm just going to build up a little room. And if you're thinking this color looks pretty bright, that's because it is, and that's on purpose. Something that a lot of autistic people, including myself, struggle with is a sensitivity to bright lights and colors. So to kind of represent that, I'm going in with a very bright color. Make it just a little bit longer. And then I'm going to go in with a contrasting color, because these together just look a little bit like a visual headache. So my goal with this is to kind of show you what my autism looks like to me and maybe help you understand what it can be like to have it, because there are good things, but there are also some struggles. Today we are going to be focusing a little more on the struggles. So here I've got my little room. I can already feel myself reacting to it a little bit. But next I'm going to replace the floor with some orange wool to get another bright color in there, but also this is going to be a little representative of my texture sensitivities. I have a lot of trouble with different kinds of fabric. In fact, when I go shopping, the first thing I look for is not the style of the clothing, it is the texture. I will always feel it first to make sure it's a fabric that I can actually stand having on my skin, because my skin is extremely sensitive both to fabric and to the touch of other people. When I have contact with other people that's more, or really that's less than a firm touch, it feels a little bit like ants are crawling underneath my skin, and I have to get rid of that feeling. I mean, I deal with it, but it's not the best sensation, if you know what I mean. So, we've got 3 bright colors for visual sensitivities. We've got carpet for kind of a texture sensitivity, and I'm actually going to go in and put some campfires under here, because something else that is extremely sensitive with me is my sense of smell. And I figured having these kind of particle effects coming through would be a great way to represent that. And the blue is another bright color, another varying texture. Really, I just want to make sure everything is as representative as it can be. Next, I'm going to go in with food, and I'm going to make a little, almost like kitchen counter here. Do another one in the corner, and lay out some food. Now, here's the thing about me and food. I love cooking. I love baking. I love being in the kitchen. But there are some things that I just can't eat. For example, sun-dried tomatoes. Taste delicious, texture atrocious. The same with spinach and melted cheese. I absolutely love the flavors, but the textures make me feel, honestly, kind of sick. And coconut, that's a taste and texture thing. There are many different things that can go into a food sensitivity. There are lots of things that I wish I could eat, but I just can't. So, kitchen. And let's see, what foods would be best representative of this? So, fish I sometimes have an issue with, so we'll go with that. Soup I have an issue with because there are some varying textures. I'm trying to get better at that, but still an issue. Bread can be a major issue if it's like a whole wheat bread. I really cannot take the texture. Kelp is kind of like seaweed, which I actually love the taste of seaweed, but the texture is another thing. Really, most of my food issues come down to textures. I do love the flavor of a lot of these things, but they're just iffy. I'm gonna turn that. That looks weird. Bread and kelp. So, right now we've got visual sensitivities, texture sensitivities, smell sensitivities, food sensitivities. And here we go with another one. Now this kind of leads into something that I would like to talk about at some point, and that is the topic of work, jobs. It is honestly very difficult for autistic people, or for some autistic people, to hold down a job. We are statistically very unemployed or underemployed. And how does that lead into this? Well, the sensitivity that I'm talking about here is light sensitivity. For me, specifically LED sensitivity. I had to leave a job because during my time working there, they replaced all of the lights with LEDs. I was having migraines every day. I couldn't deal with that. And that was just one of a few things, but sometimes we have to prioritize our health over a career, which is horrible, and I wish it wasn't like that, but I couldn't handle having headaches every single day. So, we're gonna put some fluorescent lights, some LEDs in this room of... Really, this is just a sensory nightmare for me. But if I want to show you what it's like, this is really the most accurate way I can do this. So, sea lanterns kind of remind me of the type of lighting that was used in that job I had. So, just one off every time. So, there we go. They're not super bright in Minecraft, but trust me, in real life, bad. Okay, one more physical sensitivity and then we're going to get a bit abstract. So I'm just going to place the bell here. I'm not going to have it going off. I'm not going to hook anything up to it to make it make noise because my hearing is very sensitive, and while I do want you guys to understand what it's like having my particular brand of autism, I don't want to do that to myself or to you guys. So that is going to stay quiet. Just know this is representative of my sound sensitivity. So, abstract. Something that is very common amongst autistic people, and something that my therapist, the guy that diagnosed me, really wanted to make a point of was, I need routine. That is non-negotiable. I need a routine. The thing about autism and sensitivities is it all comes back to your nervous system, which is a physical thing. Now, once again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, this is just my understanding of it. What happens when everything is connected like that is everything kind of has an effect on everything else. So this may seem like a non-physical thing, but lack of routine for me, represented by these clocks, actually equals physical ramifications. I get headaches, I get migraines, I even sometimes get physically sick to my stomach. I feel nauseous. It is just not a good time. So, for example, I have to go to bed at the same time every night. Now, that does mean movie nights are a little bit difficult to plan because I go to bed pretty early, but it's just something I need, and my family, who I live with right now, they understand that, and that's... Honestly, I appreciate that so much, because it would be so easy to be like, oh, she's got a bedtime, she's got to go to bed, which is something that I have dealt with in the past, and... Did I just break something? Yes. But really, if you take nothing away from the series, please take this away. it is always better to approach an autistic person with empathy and understanding and with the assumption that they know more about themselves and what they can handle than you do. So please, just listen to us. Thanks. Okay, back to the abstract sensitivities. As you may be figuring out, many of my sensitivities lead me to having migraines, and this one is no exception. I'm putting these lightning rods up as a representative of my weather sensitivity. If the pressure drops, if it starts to rain, if it's anything less than a full-out thunderstorm, migraine. I get migraines very often. Like, we're talking multiple times a week. It's not fun. But it is my life. So, what we have here is basically me. These are the main sensory things that I struggle with. And looking at it, it's a lot to look at. Like, we've got colors, we've got lights, we've got smells, we've got textures, we've got sound, food, routine, weather. Man, I think I deal with a lot. But, you know, you learn strategies and you have people to help. So it makes it a little easier to deal with. So one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up for today is the concept of stimulation. It is possible to be overstimulated and understimulated at the same time. Now, I am generally sensory avoidant when it comes to a lot of these things, like the textures, or the food, or, you know, the sound. But there are some things that I am sensory seeking in. For example, pressure on my body. I prefer firm hugs to weak. I prefer a firm touch to a soft one. I sleep with a weighted blanket and sometimes extra blankets on top of that because I need that deep pressure. And that's just something else that you have to deal with as an autistic person sometimes, is learning to figure out what senses are overstimulated and what senses are understimulated. Right now, this is definitely overstimulation. But sometimes, for example, if you look out here, or even, let's see, can I find a blank patch of sky? Even kind of like here, this is very understimulating. There's nothing much going on. You need a little bit something extra to kind of fill you up, to sustain you. So when it comes to these sensory things, they are all on kind of a moving scale. And this is just me turning the scale all the way up, just to kind of really drive the point home. So this is actually where I'm going to wrap up for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you like, subscribe if you so choose, and please comment down below if you have any questions relating to autism that you think I might be able to answer. I can only speak from my own experience, but that is definitely a valid experience. So, see y'all.